Hi everybody, this is Matthew here, and there's some big news. Apparently, and it's not apparent, it's real. It's really real. Final Fantasy VII is being remade. And it's being remade on the PlayStation 4. People have been asking for a remake of this game for years. 4 years. And it's happening. Already I have questions about it, but I just want to show you and tell you why this remake means so much to me personally. The Final Fantasy VII originally came out in 1997. I was a 12-year-old boy, and it was Christmas, and I got the Sony PlayStation. And the game that I got with it was Final Fantasy VII. And I truly believe this is the original copy that I got. I got to because I played the game so much it gets scratched. But, yeah, I think this is the original game I got. There were so many memories that came from this game. I remember right after all the other gifts were opened up, I played this game till about 8 o'clock at night. I played the shit out of this game. To the point that anything else Final Fantasy, I was hooked. Now, the series has gone up and down since. But, you know, when people talk about their favorite Final Fantasies, typically it's 4, 6, and 7. Those are the Final Fantasies that everybody talks about. I love this game to the point where I said anything Final Fantasy VII or anything Final Fantasy related, but more Final Fantasy VII related, I played, such as Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. I like this game so much, but despite the fact that I own it already, I bought a digital copy off the PlayStation Network just so that if these discs ever shit the bed, I am able to play it on my PlayStation 3 or my Vita. Actually, I do believe that I got a copy of it on here, I think. But I digress. This has been a very long time in the making, and we as Final Fantasy fans have been waiting for years. Some of my fellow brethren have even been asking for a Final Fantasy remake since the PlayStation 2. And for years, Square Enix has been teasing us about a remake. The PlayStation 3 demo, where they did the intro, the classic intro to Final Fantasy VII. And it was just a demo. And then they say, ooh, Final Fantasy VII is coming to PlayStation 4 as the original port. Well, why would we want it on the PS4 as the original port when we can already have it on the Vita and the PS3? So that's not a huge announcement. But I was on Facebook. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm too excited. For years we've been asking for a remake. So instead of giving us Final Fantasy VII HD they give us Final Fantasy X HD. Then they give us Final Fantasy X-2 HD. And X-2 is a game that nobody wanted. Nobody asked for it. When I would talk with my friends, I would say, hey, or if I said, hey, do you want to play Final Fantasy X-2? They'd look at me and be like, fuck, I don't want to play that game. I want a remake of Final Fantasy VII. Then 13 came out. And it's fucking god-awful sequels. The trilogy was garbage. And what did Final Fantasy fans say? What did a very vocal portion of the group say? We don't want 13. We took it, but we didn't want 13. They gave us 13-2. They gave us 13-3. No, they gave us Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13-3. Like it was so not Final Fantasy that it wasn't the opening phrase. It was like a subtitle, despite the fact that it's supposed to be a Final Fantasy game. God-awful games. You could have taken the budget of those 3 games and focused them entirely on Final Fantasy VII. But they didn't do that. So, when I was about 20, okay, so I got this game when I was 12, and people were asking for a remake. So when I was about 20, I gave up on the idea that they'll ever make a Final Fantasy VII remake. I discussed the idea with, like, people who worked at EB Games and other friends, like, shit like that. We'd be talking about video games, and we would all say, wouldn't a Final Fantasy VII HD remake be awesome? And it's real. I gave up on the idea of it being real when I was 20. And now I'm basically 30. And it's happening. 18 years after when I first played this game. And it's being made! This is where we venture into some dangerous territory, though. People who played this game, like, okay, if you're, like, under 16, you probably never played this game. You probably never even heard of this game. If you haven't, shame on you. But you don't get it. You just don't get it. This game, at the time, was so monumental in storytelling and graphical design of what video games could do with cutscenes and script and such well-created characters and such a defined world, an open map world where you could, if you wanted to go chocobo racing, you could. If you wanted to fight side optional boss monsters, you could. If you wanted to fly your airship to just explore, you could. That was so huge. And I mean, the other Final Fantasy games, such as 4 and 6, were open. Don't get me wrong. But this was such a huge, huge game that we've been looking at it through rose-colored glasses for years. And I admit, I'm a fanboy. I love Final Fantasy VII. But was it a perfect game? No. And sorry about the lighting. Their TV's on. There. The thing about it is that we're looking at it through such rose-colored glasses that if they made a remake of it, is it going to live up to our incredibly high expectations? That's the problem that we face. In a game that is so beloved and so well respected. It's almost as if anything less than perfection will be unacceptable. And when it comes as a remake, will it live up to our expectations? Like, will it probably be remastered, orchestrated music? Yes. Is it probably going to be voice acted? You would assume so. But is it going to have the same charm? Is it going to have the same emotional connection? Is it going to have extra characters? Is it going to have the optional characters still in it? Because the game is so massive that will they bother recording for Yuffie? Will they bother recording for Vincent? They weren't necessary to the storyline. They weren't. You could beat the game completely without them. It was much like Final Fantasy VI's Go-Go and Yumaro. Sorry if I said that name wrong. But you didn't need them to beat the game. But they were cool side characters, though. So, will they bother designing, creating, voice acting these characters? I know that they were included in the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children movie, which wasn't great, by the way. But if they did it in the movie, maybe they'll do it for the game, but I don't know. The other question is how long will it take? And I know you might be saying, Matthew, why are you saying that? They're going to work really hard on it. Fine. Maybe they are working hard on it. But they've been working really hard on Final Fantasy XV, which has been pushed back and renamed from Final Fantasy XIII Versus, and then it had another name, but I forget what it is. That's been pushed back 3 or 4 times. Like, it is 5 to 7 years behind schedule, I believe. I know a demo came out. I haven't played the demo, but it's been pushed back a lot. So who's to say that Final Fantasy VII is going to come out just like that? We probably won't hear anything else about Final Fantasy VII for probably... We're probably waiting until the tail end of the PlayStation 4's lifespan before we hear anything else, probably. Because Final Fantasy VII was huge. And they said many times that they were not going to remake it unless they felt they could meet the expectations of the fans, or they felt that they could match the success of the original. And another question. Why now? Why have they waited 18 years, nearly 2 decades, to create a new Final Fantasy VII game? I have a theory. And this is just my theory. I could be wrong, but here's my theory. Final Fantasy goes on this kind of scale. 1, hugely popular. 2, was okay. 3, which we just got a couple years ago, meh. 4, skyrocket. 5, wasn't commercially successful here in North America, so it panned out. 5 wasn't disastrous. 6, it shot up. 7 came up to the fucking moon. And then 8 came. Fucking Final Fantasy VIII. Nosedive. Then 9 comes back, and it steers it back up. 9 was great. 9 was a love letter to all the old Final Fantasies. Then 10. Then 10, 2. Then 11, which I never played. Then 12 came back, and it steered it back up. And then 13. And then 13, 2. And then fucking Lightning Returns. Final Fantasy, for the most part, has been on a decline. They haven't been able to recapture the magic that 4, 6, 7, even 9. You know what? And I'll stick up. For a 5th Final Fantasy that I like, 12. 12 wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't great. but it beats the fucking piss out of 8 and 10 and 10-2 and the fucking 13 trilogy. So, Final Fantasy has been struggling these past for quite a while. So maybe it was time for a remake of Final Fantasy VII. Maybe it's time to take it back to the roots. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel so goddamn often. So, maybe with that attitude they said, fuck it, let's create a whole new Final Fantasies, or a remake of Final Fantasy VII. But, yeah, those are my questions of, why? Why, when you had 18 years to do it, why now? How long is it going to take? Are we going to look at the same situations that we were of Final Fantasy 15? With delay after delay after delay after delay. And even if it comes out on time, even if all the side missions are there, because remember, this is a remake, and that brings me to my next point that I nearly forgot. When they say remake, do they mean a faithful, line for line? I mean, they're going to clean up the translation a bit, but are they going to do a faithful, full recreation of Final Fantasy VII? Are they going to have all the same towns, all the same non-playable characters? Are they going to have the same side missions? Is it going to be a full, straight-up remake? Or by remake, do they mean re-envision? Is this game going to be completely reimagined, as if it were a Final Fantasy VII in a different universe, a parallel dimension? I wonder. I truly, truly wonder. But these are just my thoughts. My experience with Final Fantasy VII, I loved the game. It's one of my most favorite RPGs of... Just not RPGs, not just Japanese role-playing games, but one of my most favorite video games of all time. This video game was the first. It has been the first, last, and only video game. The Last of Us being a very close second. It didn't actually make me do this, but it was close. This game made me cry. That's right. I'm not going to spoil it for those who don't know. You know what? Spoiler. I'm going to spoil the video game right now. So, if you don't want to know what I'm going to say, just stop watching now. When Aerith died, and I saw all the characters mourning her death, Red howling in pain and just anguish, Sid looking up at the, God, going, I don't understand. Barrett just being so full of rage. Tifa, being unable to handle Aerith's death, she just runs. Yuffie, even, buries her face into Cloud's chest and weeps. And just, shakes her head as if, no, this is not real. Even Vincent, who was unfeeling and supposed to be this robot, even he showed emotion. Where he walked over, put his hand on Cloud's shoulder, as if to say, dude, I'm sorry. Even Cat Sith. I know a lot of people fucking shit on Cat Sith. But when he's like, hey, everybody, it's okay. And then he realizes it's not. And he hangs his head down, and he droops his feet, and he just kind of walks away. They leave Cloud to mourn. I cried. Because Aerith and all the characters meant so much. They were so well written. You could connect with the characters. and she died. It's like in a movie where you connect with a character and a movie character dies and you cry. This is no different. They say that video game isn't art. Then how come it made me feel sorrow? It made me feel anger. It made me feel a wide range of emotions. And when I beat Sephiroth at the end, I was ecstatic. This game has made me a video gamer. It has made me love video games. So, if this Final Fantasy VII HD remake is an absolute disgrace, if this game is just a corporate shilling for wanting money, and then when we buy the game, it's garbage, we will never forgive them. I'll never forgive them. You know they say don't trust faceless corporations. You know, they fucked me in a lot of Final Fantasy games. They fucked me over with the 13 trilogy. 10 and 10-2 weren't great, but they didn't make me hate the games. The 13 trilogy did. The 13 trilogy has fucked me over so much that I refuse to buy a Final Fantasy XIV full price. I'll wait till that fucker's in the bargain bin. But Square Enix, if you take my Final Fantasy VII and if after 18 years you take this game and it's not as good as the original, I'll never buy no Square Enix game. I just don't want to be that disappointed. I really don't. So please don't. Please don't hurt me. But I didn't mean to ramble on this long. I really didn't. It's just, this game means a lot to me. Most games don't. I have a large collection. But to me, they're just entertainment. A lot of them. And most RPGs are just fun. Even the remake of Final Fantasy IV for the PSP and the remake for DS are fine. They're great. They're fantastic. The Game Boy Advance remake for Final Fantasy VI was great. But this is Final Fantasy VII. This is the game that made me love JRPGs. That made me love Final Fantasy. That made me love video games. I liked them before. But this game has made me the gamer that I am today. So Square Enix, please don't all you have to do is not screw this up. So anyways, these are just my thoughts. It's just my opinion. And it's just me ranting and rambling, but let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for the Final Fantasy VII HD remake? Do you have questions about it? Any concerns? Any reservations? Or are you just pumped that it's happening at all? Anyways, I'm Matthew. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I'm going to leave on a happy note. I love this game.